One.
Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, trainer, author, trainer. I already said that, musician, singer, songwriter, just loving life, ready to give to you, ready to bless you with everything I've learned because it's been blessed in my life. And so I'm just here to take everything I've learned, everything I've earned, everything that I've ever in my experiences, in my travel, my journey, to seminars, to books, to audios, and my own life experiences, to give it to you the best of what I've learned over the past 20 years, being in the self-help industry and wanting to help you help yourself so we can help each other grow, show, get up, step up, and live it up. You know what I'm saying? So this is a show where we help you claim your power, clarify your purpose, and cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible so you can ultimately show up as a better, more upgraded, updated version of yourself, expanding yourself and your world. So ultimately you can inspire others to do the exact same. So thank you for joining us. It is an absolute blessing every single day. I know I say that every day, but it is. This might be, this could be the last day I live, and I want to give it with total love and total honor for your life and my life. And that's how I decided to live my life. So today's episode, I'm excited about today's episode because there's been a couple of things that have happened over the past couple of days that have gotten me to really reflect on my own life. And the title of this show, particular podcast title, is going to be, what did you title it, Cam? Was something about to be a child again? Is that what you entitled it?
To be a child again.
Yes. I've got to, I have two children, a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. And they are my, man, I learned so much. My three greatest teachers in my life, without a doubt, are my wife and my two children. No question. I mean, I've read many books, I've attended many seminars, but every day living with them, communicating with them, interacting with them, my wife, my two children, man, I learned so much from them, more than anything I could learn from any book, from any seminar, or any spiritual retreat or church or synagogue or temple, whatever it might be. And it's in those life experiences when you're interacting with people, with the world around you, that's when you're growing the most, and wisdom is really encapsulated. So, and one of the things about being a child, I mean, Jesus said, those who are like, only people that are like children will enter the kingdom of God. And what that means to me is that I had that experience with my son. I may have told this the story about a while ago when we were driving and we were at a stoplight and there was this homeless guy at the side of the road. And my son said, what was that guy doing? He was holding up a sign. And I said, son, he's homeless. He doesn't have a home and he's asking people for money. And he literally said, well, why don't you give him money? And I said, you know what? You're right, son. So I started looking in my change department in my car there. And he as I was doing that, he said, oh, Dad, I wish I had my wallet with me. I wish I could give him the paper kind and I would give him all my money. That's just an extraordinary thing. It didn't come from a place of judgment. It came from a childlike, innocent, purified, loving place that a child, and that's what I think Jesus meant by that. And I recently had to experience too. My son, we were listening to a song by Michael Jackson. I think it was the song "They Don't Really Care About Us," and he was listening to the words and he was going, "Dad, what does he mean by they don't really care about us?" And I said, son, in this world, there's some people that judge a lot of people based on the color of your skin, and they will judge them based on the color of skin. And his response was priceless. He said, "Why would they do that?" And I sat there going, yeah, you're right, son. Why would they do that? Isn't that so silly? And he said, yeah, that doesn't sound right at all. Why would someone do something horrible like that? He's only 7 years old. And why would you do that? And so it came from such a child, innocent place. And I think part of making the return trip home is to return back to that childlike innocence. Seeing the world with new eyes and being totally present with a humble heart and humility and radical compassion and grace and appreciation for the world around you. So, and I know I see my daughter over here. She's home from school sick here, and I don't want to embarrass her, but she teaches me every day when she's dancing, and she takes a dance class, and I watch her and she just lets go, and she's just so awesome. And there's no masks. And it's just pure love in the moment, present moment love, expression of life in its feminine form or its masculine form. And they don't know anything about masculine or feminine energy. They don't know anything about dogmas and doctrines and all these other things about quotes and scriptures and Bible verses and all these verses from various spiritual texts. They don't know any about it. They live it and breathe it with everything until they are shamed, until they are judged. And then that's when the ego masks come up, the walls come up, and they start to live life based on an ego, cynical, trapped point of view. And it's I'm doing my very best to keep that innocence alive. But unfortunately, our world is created where we are going to get shamed eventually by our social surroundings. And I remember the great study that was done by a Dr. Ellen Langer from Harvard University, and it was called Counterclockwise. And I think what it was, they took a bunch of older people in their 60s and 70s, and I think in their 80s, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they took them back to a retreat, an area where there was, the whole environment was like it was when they were teenagers and in their younger years. And they wanted to see the effect it would have on their biology and their attitudes and their behaviors. And what they discovered was these people that were living there for a certain period of time, their actual biological age started to reverse. Their fingernails and their fingers started to get longer. Their cells started to get stronger and more youthful and vibrant. And as a result, these people were actually reversing time. And they asked Dr. Ellen Langer after, do you think they could live forever? Do you think that if they lived in that environment that they could literally reverse time and reverse age and pretty much live as immortals? And she said, no, because our society won't let us. And it's just so powerful and how significant our environment is. So that's why I say to people, my mentor, you said to me when he first met me, where you'll be in 2 years will depend on 4 things: what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, and who you hang around. And the more I think about it, the more I grow up. The people you associate, the law of association really holds true, that if you want to be better, hang around people that are better than you. If you want to be more spiritual, hang around people that are spiritual. If you want to be healthy and physically healthy, hang around physically fit people. And if you want to learn spiritual wisdom or wisdom, listen to podcasts like this, right? And it's all in what you listen to, what you read, what you watch, and who you hang around, and the environment you put yourself in. And transformation can occur and accelerate your transformation both externally and internally. I think I would add a fifth based on my experience. If there's a fifth, it would be going inward to your own stuff and observing your own behaviors, your own patterns, your own destructive patterns, some good things, bad things, and sitting it. That's why meditation and contemplative prayer and centering prayer are so important, because it really, really is the gateway. It's the key to unlocking those doors that we shamed ourselves for or disassociated from or whatever it might be. But the point of the matter is, this podcast was all about reclaiming our childlike curiosity, because it's so important. So hang around children. Oh my gosh, I love playing with babies and little children, because it's just they hold no threat to my ego or my sense of identity. They're just pure. And I was at a lunch on Sunday, I believe it was, and there was this baby, a friend of mine's baby. She was only 4 months, and I love chubby babies. I just get all giddy and stuff. And I was holding the baby and I was making her laugh, and I just let go. I was totally in the present, in total awe of this little human being in my hands, and squeezing her and holding her and hugging her. And I just had such a great time. I tell you, in those moments where it's like, you let go and you let God, as they say, as it says in AA, and there's nothing more important than being in that moment. I think children really bestow that naturally every single moment of their lives. And I often observe my 2 children after they get in a fight or something, and within minutes, seconds even, they're best friends again, or they fight with their friends, or they fight with us, and then within minutes they don't hold grudges. They let it go. They're able to let it go and live in the moment. So such a wonderful lesson for me. So I wanted to share that with you. Any thoughts there, Cam?
Yeah. I remember I had my own experience with like a child on Christmas, because like I grew up as the young sibling, so I never really had anybody younger than, and all my cousins were my same. Like,
Yeah.
Didn't really spend a lot of time around children or even
Yeah.
babies for that matter. And
Yeah.
I remember I had like this experience where you know, maybe a baby just made me feel like I was awesome for no reason.
Yeah.
It was great. And I went home and I just did some research on it to see what other people say, like is about babies in general, like similar to what you're doing. And I remember a girl who, I think she was a mother of two children, and she always said that without even knowing like who or what was inside of her, she loved it so much when she was pregnant, and she
Mm,
gave up everything for
yeah.
this child. And because they're so innocent, they're so helpless, they're just
Yeah.
there and they are relying on you 100%
Yeah.
to
Yes.
provide them with the proper environment to grow, right? And he sort of made the analogy that our own bodies, our own self-care is that very thing. Like we are so, like there's a part of us that is so helpless that just wants to live and grow and experience,
Mm,
yet we're treating it very poorly, whether that be by stressing or eating badly or
yeah.
whatever it might be. And
Yeah.
sort of like treat yourself as if you're pregnant, essentially. Treat
Yeah.
yourself as if there's something innocent within you that just that is relying on you. And that
Mm,
innocent thing that I sort of like thought of it to be would be purpose, the
mm,
reason you're here, the things you came here to express. And if you don't provide the proper environment for those things to express themselves, then um you don't live as full of a life, you know.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a thing that a baby taught me, which is
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, dude, I can tell you, many people that know me, like really know me, I just love babies, and it's if you've ever seen me with a baby, I just like love baby. I just like I don't know, and children, I love like wrestling with them and just like getting down to their level and just I let go. And there's like as I said, there's no threat to me or my ego or my identity. It's just it's so awesome. And I even remember that one story of this as a Chinese story, and I think it was there was this very very enlightened being sitting up atop a tree for months or something, and everyone was traveling to this tree to get wisdom and to get the attention and get the to and they were all lining up to this tree, and they were asking him questions about life, and finally this really powerful political leader, and I'm sort of just improvising here about the story, but you'll get it. And he basically went on his journey, heard about this guy and said, oh, this wise enlightened being. So he finally got his audience and he asked the enlightened being, what's life all about? He says, do do good things and don't do bad things. And the powerful leader said, well, that's it. He goes, I knew that when I was 3 years old. And he goes, and then enlightened being looked at him right in the face and smiled and said, the 80-year-old has trouble seeing that, where the 3-year-old has no trouble seeing that. Right? Just like my son, ask like, why would anyone judge someone based on the color of their skin? That seems so ridiculous to a child, right? They don't see blonde or blue-eyed or brown or whatever. They just, it is like I marvel at the way they play and the way they interact and their voices, and there's nothing more beautiful than children singing, right? When you hear children singing, or children laughing, it is the most beautiful sound. Oh, that resonates. Oh, crazy. My soul drops. What happens when you see like hear children's choir, all the parents and the adults are crying. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful sound in the world. Right. And, anyway, the point of the matter is I think everyone should return back and reflect on their childhood. And as you said, it was a great technique that I learned from a coach one time. And she was saying, every time you get in an argument with someone and you leave feeling resentful towards that person, imagine that person was a newborn baby. Or you can imagine them as a 100-year-old man or woman in a wheelchair. And they're basically the same, innocent, needing help, helpless, whatever it might be, right? And when you do that, when you reframe your experience and you see that person as an infant child, you see them as they were once an innocent child. Maybe they were tormented and physically or emotionally abused, and that's why they are the way they are. So anyway, so I wanted to touch upon this and share this with the people that are listening, and hopefully you got a lot from this episode and this podcast. And thank you for joining us, whether you're listening to this actively on Instagram or any of the platforms we're using this, or working out, wherever you are in the world. We're here to serve you. We're here to give to you. We're here to love you. And that's all we're here to do. And we do it with the kindness of our souls and the kindness of our hearts. And we're just wanting to give. So thank you for joining us, and your continued upgrade and evolution. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. God bless, guys.